Good morning, my name is Rick. I'm a docent here at Point Lobos. What we're going to do in this film is walk you through some of the procedures involved in opening Whaler's cabin. The first item involved is, of course, to unlock the cabin. So you take your secret code and manipulate the lock. Pull the lock off. The next thing you want to do is slide the bolt over to the right. Take your lock, lock it onto the hasp, and turn all the numbers to 0. This cabin has an alarm, so you might want to go ahead and remember the number in your head before you open the door. You'll have 60 seconds, which is a lot of time, so stay calm. One other thing to remember, you have to have the door closed when you go over to disarm the alarm. So the door is closed, you can hear the alarm beeping. You can walk calmly over here, you have plenty of time. If you follow the directions on this panel, push 1, the 4-digit code, and then the enter button, which is in the lower corner, the lower right corner. The beeping will stop. You're safe. Now you can take your time, do whatever you'd like to do next. What I do next is go back to the door and go and open the whaling station. I don't put the information sign out yet because I'm going to be outside. I go ahead and close the door at this point, even though the cabin is actually unlocked. It's very unlikely anybody's going to show up at 9 in the morning. Now it's time to open the whaling station. Now let's open the Whaling Station Museum. Remember, this has to be done second after you've opened the whaler's cabin and disarmed the alarm. There is no separate alarm for this building, so all you have to do is unlock it. Notice how the lock has the F for front or forward, facing forward. That makes it easier for you to unlock it, so you should always do that when you put the lock back together. Now, I have the tumblers set to the code, but in order to open the lock, instead of just pulling it apart, you actually have to push it together a little bit first. So you push it together, and that springs it open. So we open the door, and it's got a hook on the back here to secure the door. The other door is slightly more complex. There's a chain with a pull at the top and a bar at the bottom. Loosen those, the door swings out, and again there's a hold on the outside. And we'll secure this door as well in the same fashion. Has a hook on the back. I still have the lock in my hand. Now what you want to do with the lock is to spin the tumblers until everything reads 0. To zero it out, as they say. Spin the tumblers till they all read 0. Put it on the hasp. Make sure the F is facing out. That way it'll be easier for the next person to unlock it. Push it together. Make sure it's secure, which it now is. The only thing left to do here is to turn on the lights and to turn on the whale sounds. And you have to turn the light on first. The switch is over here in the corner. The lights are on. And the next item is to turn on the whale sounds. And here we have yet another lock with conveniently the same code. I'll get it eventually here. So you open this door, and And all you have to do to turn on the whale sounds is press play and repeat. And there are instructions posted here on the front of the unit. Once you do that, the whale sounds are on. Close the door. Same drill with the lock. The lock on the hasp, make sure the F is facing forwards. Close it up and zero out all the dials. Now we're ready to go back to the cabin. So now we're back at the cabin. Remember, it's disarmed, so not a problem. This is your choice as to whether to leave the door open or not. I always leave it open. I always bring extra clothes and leave it open because I feel it makes the cabin more welcoming. At this point, you can put out the sign. It should be sitting right here on the desk. Without our sign, we're open for business. There's a few things left to do, however. So to turn on the lights and the video, we come into this room. So here are the light switches, the top and the bottom. The middle switch is for the room that I'm standing in at the moment. You might need this, but I don't normally have it on unless I'm looking for something in here. Display lights also control the power to the DVD, so you cannot turn the DVD on until you have turned those lights on. And if you're doing a closing shift, merely by turning those two switches off kills the power to the DVD. Let's take a look at the DVD player. To turn on the DVD, you start in here. You've got instructions, DVD player instructions. Number one, push the power button on the DVD player. That's right here on the left. It's marked power. Push the play. There's play. Go to the TV room and press the large power button at the bottom center. We can do that. So the DVD is in this room. All that remains is to press the large button here, which says push on, off. Now there are volume buttons just to the left of the large button. What I do is turn the volume down to something like 10 in case I'm all alone in the cabin, and if somebody comes in, I press the button that's closer to the large button and take it up to a comfortable volume for the guests. When you open, there are a couple of cleaning tasks that you should take a look at. One is that you may have been left a gift by the permanent residents of the cabin, the mice, on top of the plexiglass cases. Or the cases may have fingerprints on them. In which case, what you should do is use the diapers. Here's the clean diapers, marked clearly. When you're through, you put it in the dirty diaper bin. And over here on the shelf, you will find a spray bottle marked plexiglass cleaner. The plexiglass cleaner and the diapers are the only things that you should use on the plexiglass cases. Otherwise, they could get scratched. One other cleaning task that you might want to take a look at is the floor of the Whaling Station Museum. Sometimes stuff blows in there during the night. There is a broom, a push broom here hanging on this wall. So if you brush that out in the morning, if it's been windy, that's a good thing. One last thing to do is to fill out this board. It gives a variety of information. This has already been filled out today before we started filming, so we won't do that during this film. But as you can see, it has the date, the time of the sunset, what walks there are today, if any, and the times of the tides. Well, where do you get this information? Back in the room where the light switches are, this clipboard is usually hanging right here on the wall on a hook. And on this clipboard, you should be able to find most of the information that we just talked about. This has a schedule So if you're like me and you're forgetful, you can actually look up and see where your name is and find out what day it is. It also has a schedule for the public walks, if there are any public walks today. As of today, there was a public walk on the Cypress Grove Trail. The sunset time can be found two ways. You can see that when you come in at the information station. Or you can also get it off of the tide table. The tide table is kept in the barnacle here with the various markers that you use for this little information board. But that's where you get your tide information and also your sunset information. One more thing I'd like you to see, and that is the opening checklist. It's a good thing to go through, make sure, particularly if you're fairly new to this operation, that you've done everything that needs to be done. Once again, we come into this room. The opening checklist is on the cork board here. I'll pull it off so you can take a look at it. Quick opening checklist, both for the whaler's cabin and for the whaling station. A handy item. I hope that helps. I think you'll quickly get the hang of it. Being at the whaler's cabin is a great place. If there aren't any visitors, I can recommend all the information over here in the rack if you want to learn more about the whaler's cabin, about Point Lobos, or you can just stand out here and look at one of the most beautiful views on the planet.